Imagine being a child. Too young to drive. Too young to vote. Too young to live independently. Yet somehow expected to handle life alone. Not because your parents are gone, but because they're never really there. This is the story of a child raising himself. And it's a story that happens more often than many people realize. From the outside, everything looked normal. There was a house. There was food on the table. There were parents in the home. Nothing seemed unusual. But appearances can be deceiving. Because parenting is more than providing a roof. More than paying bills. More than buying clothes and school supplies. Children need more than physical care. They need emotional care too. Every morning, the child woke up alone. Not physically alone, but emotionally alone. There was nobody asking how he felt. Nobody noticing when he was struggling. Nobody celebrating small victories. Nobody comforting him after difficult days. When problems appeared, he learned to solve them himself. When fears appeared, he learned to hide them. When sadness appeared, he learned to keep it inside. At first, it seemed like independence. People even praised it. You're so mature for your age. You're very responsible. You handle everything on your own. And it was true. The child became independent. But independence born from necessity is different from independence born from growth. One is healthy development. The other is survival. While other children relied on adults for guidance, he relied on himself. He learned not to ask for help. Not because he didn't need it, but because experience taught him that help rarely came. Over time, disappointment became expectation. Expectation became habit. And habit became part of his personality. The difficult thing about parental neglect is that it isn't always obvious. People often imagine neglect as a child without food, without shelter, without protection. But emotional neglect can be harder to see. A child may have everything they need physically, yet still feel completely unseen. A child can live in a crowded house and still feel lonely. Years passed. The child became a teenager, then an adult. But some lessons stayed with him. He struggled to trust others. He found it difficult to ask for support. He felt uncomfortable depending on people, even when help was available. Because for so long, depending on others had felt pointless. The world saw a capable adult. Someone responsible. Someone independent. Someone strong. What they didn't see was the child who learned those skills too early. The child who needed comfort but found silence. The child who needed guidance but found absence. The child who became his own parent before he was ready. Yet this story is not about blame. Parents are human. Some struggle with stress, financial pressure, mental health challenges, addiction, trauma, or problems they never learned how to overcome. Sometimes neglect happens not because of a lack of love, but because of a lack of emotional availability. The result, however, can still affect a child deeply. The good news is that childhood experiences do not have to determine the rest of a person's life. People can heal. People can learn healthy relationships. People can find mentors, friends, partners, teachers, and communities that provide the support they once lacked. The wounds may remain, but wounds can heal. And healing can begin at any stage of life. Perhaps the most important lesson is this. Children don't need perfect parents. Perfect parents don't exist. But children do need presence, attention, encouragement, guidance, and the feeling that someone is truly there for them. Because when children feel seen, they learn they matter. When children feel heard, they learn their voice matters. And when children feel loved, they learn they are worthy of love. If you're a parent, remember that your time is often more valuable than your possessions. Your attention is often more important than expensive gifts. And your presence is often what your child will remember most. Years from now, they may forget the toys, forget the gadgets, forget the money spent. But they will remember whether you were there. The child in this story grew up. He survived. He succeeded. But he should never have had to raise himself. Because childhood is supposed to be a time for learning, growing, and being guided. Not carrying burdens meant for adults. End with this thought. Children may forget what you bought for them, but they rarely forget whether you were there for them. Sometimes the greatest gift a parent can give is simply their presence.